Hello, everybody. Welcome. Um, we are going to get started with our fast data insights conversation today. We thank you for joining us. This is Juan Nunez speaking, and I am joined today by Bill Shea.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Bill and I have been working together for many years in the space of data and analytics, and we're really thankful for you um, to join us today. Um, Very quickly, and to get started, a little bit about MicroStrategies. Our company was founded 37 years ago, and since its inception, customers have been at the center of the work that we do and the solutions that we bring to market. So we're over 140 professionals and across multiple areas of expertise, and we're spread out across four locations in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and Massachusetts. And from there, we support customers across the Northeast and really the world on uh, companies that range from mid-size to enterprise level. So we believe that um, bringing solutions to the market that are connected to real world objectives, business objectives, and experiences is critical. We understand that data is a competitive advantage, and in our goal in the solutions that we create and bring to market is to simplify the way that you work with your data. So our team is composed by professionals who have real experience defining, delivering, and operating these types of solutions for companies across many industries. And we help them in many areas. We help our customers in many areas. Some of those are infrastructure, security, business process, analytics, and then the business technologies and operation needs that our customers may have. Now, based on the experiences that our team has, that's where we ground our solutions, and we look for business objectives. So the business objectives for our clients and the real challenges that are out there in the world. And we partner with our customers to match those either objectives or challenges with the best solutions, best in class solutions. And we scope the technology landscapes to pick the best capabilities to solve for them. We ensure, and one of the focuses that we have is to ensure success through the implementation and operation services that we provide our customers. So jumping right into our conversation today on fast data insights, um, we we let me walk you through some of the challenges that we have encountered as we were working on the customer side through over 20 years, and some of the things that we continue to encounter as we interact with our customers. So many organizations integrate data into decentralized databases or data warehouses where you standardize the access across multiple systems. And you have many source systems, whether it's ERP systems or loyalty platforms, CRM systems, your web or transaction systems. and integrate your data into these subject areas, whether it's for customer finance, marketing, operations. Um, Basically, come up with a set of metrics that you're going to be look at and standardize the process in which you're going to get those. And that is a good thing. That is actually a very good thing that helps many of our customers get value from their data. The challenge comes in as data grows. In data, as you all know, is continuing to grow exponentially. Business teams need access to new data, and at times it takes weeks or months to get something integrated into a central system that you already have in place. Things that occur at times as well is your company is actually doing very well. You're successful. You have acquisitions, and then that actually exacerbates the problem. Your data doubles up. You have another company to integrate data into your systems. Your backlogs become longer, and during that time, analysts still need access to business, to critical data to make business decisions, and they will start to circumvent this process to get to those answers. So the list of items that need to be integrated becomes long. You have to have difficult prioritization conversations and decisions, and those take place. Circumventing that process create these shadow data processes that duplicate data and exacerbate security concerns, and you may find yourself asking questions like, where is this particular data coming from? How was this revenue number calculated? Or where does this margin number come from? And as we were kind of grounding in some of the challenges that we have seen and continue to see in the market, Bill and I were talking through some of these. And Bill, you had some good examples of things you've run into in doing your work. Would you care to share one of those?
Sure. There's one example that comes to mind was integrating some third-party data. One of our departments we supported needed to get some data from a third-party commission junction company that we were paying for leads, and they wanted to integrate the data to our ERP system to double check and make sure that the leads that we got were actually meeting the contract to be paid for. And so we had to absorb that data and merge it with our enterprise data, and then format and output of data. And it took, unfortunately, an IT type resource, technical resource, working closely with the business analyst and scheduling time together. It took multiple weeks to get that process up and running. And always looked at how could we get functionality like this done closer to the business analyst so they're more in control.
And these type of scenarios is the ones that we saw time and time again, and we continue to see, and is what started to inform our thinking around fast data insights. And as we think about these challenges, we were asking ourselves, what about an approach that allows us to simplify the way data is acquired, shared across team, made available, while still being protected and governed? And how can we eliminate these dark data processes where you don't know where your data might be? So we asked ourselves, what if there was a way to pick only the data that we need, move it only when required, and made it available to analysts and data scientists in a secure and scalable platform. So that's how we came up to fast data insights. So for fast data insights has three major components. The first one, all the way to the left, is that we source data from virtually anywhere with 250 plus built-in connectors. I'm going to look at those in a bit more detail in just a moment. As we source the data, then we leverage an easy-to-use workspace to prepare the data and make it available on demand. And as data is prepared and made available in what we call our data hub, we deploy reporting, user interaction, and AI machine learning spaces for scalable consumption. So when we think about the data hub and the preparation of this data, we like to think of it as sort of a Netflix for data, where you have data on demand that is available to be leveraged across your users, your business users, and data scientists, and it can be reporting solutions, and where you can train and execute models against it. We'll go a little bit more detail with this, but the other valuable piece that we built into Fast Data Insights is a way to memorialize the knowledge of your most talented and seasoned analysts. So when an analyst with a higher level of skill goes and creates something within Fast Data Insights, then that is shared and can be shared across your user base, where less skilled analysts or perhaps newer analysts are able to work with those assets as well. So jumping right into the connector, and we're going to touch on those three things. We're breaking that down a little bit. We use these built-in connectors to get to your data, whether from a database or from a document. You can access data from multiple places, and you can combine that data with Fast Data Insights. This is just a sample of some of the connectors, but we like to think about it as if it is a system, it has an interface, we'll be able to connect to that system and get your data from it, so you can work with it. You can connect to multiple systems. There's no limit to the systems that you can connect, and source those data elements and bring them into the next part, which is the hub to analyze it. Now, once we connect to that data and we wish to analyze it, you can leverage these workspaces to apply your rules, aggregate and summarize data needed, join data from different sources, apply logic from various sources. And once you're happy with the results, you can actually instantiate that data in that environment or push it down to downstream systems. Some of the highlight components that I will look to highlight here is there is a workspace. As you can see, there's multiple data sources coming in, and we're doing some work like bringing some of those together and ending up with some output that we can apply logic, apply data preparation, and there's a deep level of changes you can make. You can split columns, combine things, make calculations on specific columns, format the data in specific ways. and ultimately end up with an output that combines the data elements that you needed to put together. As you run through those components, then you will have that output available in the workspace as as something that folks can interact with, and you can have folks that have a specific role of curating data review the processes and say, this is curated, this is good, this can be used across the enterprise. And the additional component is as users interact with that data, they can provide their feedback by rating, liking it, or providing additional comments on how specific data elements are being used. So going back to your example, Bill, you talked about highly skilled IT person having to go in and build all these processes. How might you do that differently with this type of solution?
So one of the way the process started is the analyst would get a Excel spreadsheet, and they didn't have a way to get that into a repeatable process to ingest that and merge it with enterprise data. So here we'd be able to create a connection to the Excel spreadsheet, and that could be loaded, to be watching the directory and load, and the process can be kicked off and the file comes in, or it could be scheduled, or it could be manually triggered. But the analyst can control all that, and then the analyst would be able to merge that as individual sources with the enterprise data, and then create and enrich the data and put it in an output format that was required by the other third party, and then schedule that to be published and exported. And it's all done through an intuitive, easy-to-use interface that the analyst would have full control over.
Yeah, and to your point, there's the input data, then you're doing some work with it. You can define an export and then do a scheduling. The scheduling isn't just for pushing data out; it's actually for the entire workflow. So at the scheduled time that we pick here, it could be hourly, daily, monthly. It doesn't really matter, or a specific time and place. When that time arrives, we would go and grab the data from the source systems, apply all the transformations that have been created in your workflow, and ultimately send it to the target.
Right.
So an additional component, and as we start jumping into some of the consumption pieces, is we enable an access for users. So whether it's your business analyst or your data scientist to go into the hub and interact with data, as well as using other processes. Data can be made available through graph databases or Office tools, or they can create and reuse Python or R code that they may have already available. So you can interact with the data directly on the hub. And the state in which the data lives in the hub is either already there, available, or virtualized, meaning we don't move the data unless we're ready to analyze it. And depending on your setup, depending on the source systems, there's some best practices as to whether data should be pulled out or data could be left in those source systems. And those are some of the things that we work with Dio on to help figure out. So business users and data scientists can access that system directly. Also, you can make your data available and can be accessed through reporting tools. And we have a sample of some reporting capabilities here. It's not all inclusive, and it's not really limited. You can connect your reporting tool of choice. is really about the processes for integration into downstream reporting tools where you can maybe drive some schedule reports that you're going to share with your organization. And last but not least, and one of the pieces on the consumption side is that you can leverage the hub to train and score your models. Now, the results of your scoring processes can be easily appended to your data. So think about it as another layer of data that is going to be available. So in the case that we were chatting about, Bill, you're getting data from Commission Junction, you're mixing that data, you're putting that data together with your enterprise data. You could have created, trained an analytical model on that data and then scored the records and added that or appended that as an additional attribute and use it however you see fit in your process.
Right, all in the same workflow where you're enriching the data. It's just another step in the enrichment process.
Exactly. So now, as far as the scoring components and the modeling components, we do have a point-and-click type of application to create a variety of models. So those might be linear regression, multilinear regression, or deep learning models, or logistic regression model. So you can use that type of interface to create your models, or you can bring your R code and your Python code, and ultimately it becomes an item within the hub where you can add it to a workflow, select data elements that you're going to score a data processing, and execute it and make it available either within the hub or push it downstream. So it can support your AI and machine learning processes. So what's under the hood? Fast data insights can be deployed on-premise or on your private cloud or in a public cloud. So you can deploy that on your own data center, or you can use a data center, a public cloud of choice to deploy fast data insights. The base system handles all of the connectivity, security, database components, and the containers where the solutions will run, and also the operational pieces. So anything that has to do with monitoring, logging, and the visualization or giving you visibility into the system usage and its health. On the top, we have deployed the data services, and those are useful to prepare, to curate your data, transform many types of data. And on this side is the consumption pieces that we were talking about, where you will allow your users, your analysts, your data scientists to interact with the data. We have put this together, taking the best components available and deploying it in a way that it can easily scale. So it's not something that has to be deployed at your end state to begin with. It can start small, and because we're using containerization of the platform, it can be expanded to handle larger and larger workflows. So we have gone through a lot of information, and there's some key takeaways that we would like for you to take home with you today. And one of one of Fast Data Insights' key attributes is that it has a data hub within it. It's not a data catalog, but there's real data there, ready to be accessed, ready to be worked with. And we think about it as that Netflix for data made available very easily. Um, the underlying idea is that IT or your technology team or the technology team sets up the platform and the protection around that platform. So protect your data, set up the resources you're going to need to run it. Business users, data scientists, they are the ones who drive. They choose what data is analyzed and when, and they have powerful tools in their fingertips to reduce the time that we spend preparing data to run our models, which is a huge benefit that I personally like and use quite a bit. We secure data in a non-restrictive manner. So uh, some of the organizations that are using this platform with thousands of users are discovering and finding that the data is now in a single location rather than being out there in spreadsheets and who knows what other process. The data is protected within one place and is accessible to others. Fast Data Insights is it's a modern approach where users interact with the data and with each other. So we chatted a little bit earlier about users being able to share knowledge across. And the data hub at your fingertips allows for explainable decisions and metrics. The data is in the hub, is right there. So although we work with big data, we extract critical items from that data and bring it together to then make decisions, and the data is going to be in the hub. So how might we get started? We would say talk to us. Our approach is to start small and grow over time. Fast Data Insights is built on a scalable architecture, so you don't have to go with the end state. Our team is very talented, and we would love to sit down with you, talk about your challenges, figure out what is the starting point. The additional piece is that we have Fast Data Insights implemented on our internal data centers and our executive briefing center. Fast Data Insights is deployed there, and we have a number of other technologies in our briefing centers that we use to keep our skills sharp and also to have our customers interact with these solutions. So this is this has been kind of our conversation through Fast Data Insight. We'd love to talk to you about some questions that may come up. We're almost around the time, but I think there's one question we want to touch on. And the question is, can you pull data from a website or an API, and how would you do that?
Yes, you can. You can actually create a source to a website that has data and maybe a table of data, and you can define that. You can actually define multiple areas, and then each one of those areas defined would come into the hub, into the workspace, and it would be represented almost as like a table with rows and columns, and then that could be a source, for example, pulling down exchange rate data or something like that. And then you can schedule that to publish to an internal table or join with some other data and publish and schedule it to run daily. You can also put a connector, set up a connector to connect to an API or a URL-based API that returns XML or JSON, which also would be table, treat it like a table source.
All right. So we've gone through a lot of information. We really thank you for your time this morning. Please reach out to us. We'd love to hear about your specific challenges and the situations you're trying to solve for. And we'd love to help you with that and talk to you about how fast data insights can help you. Thank you.